Are you a finance professional that really wants to become a finance leader, a CFO, and you just can't find time to do self-study, particularly if you work for a startup or scale-up? Hi, my name's Alysha Randall. I am a portfolio CFO and a trainer of new and aspiring finance leaders in startups and scale-ups. And today I'm going to talk to you about structuring your day and finding more time in the day, particularly, again, if you're working for startups or scale-ups. So here is the blog post that I've just posted. I'll link it below and you can take a look at that. But it's really talking about how you can manage learning within your day. So this is exactly what I do. So as a CFO, you basically never stop learning. So if you're a leader in any area, it doesn't matter if you're a CFO or not, you cannot stop learning really. So it's very good and well to think about all the things that you have learned, but if you just kind of stay with the skills that you are, you're not really going to be able to impact your team and your business. So the first thing I did was structure my day in a very specific way. So I found that I personally am much better at doing thinking time, planning time, deep work, focused work in the afternoon. I'm not too good at it in the morning. I can do lots of things. I can juggle lots of things, but really, being able to really think properly, I'm much better in the afternoon. So what I did is I basically blocked my calendar in the afternoon. So I was going to show you my calendar, but I'm not going to because there's all my clients' names in there, and I didn't want to do that. But essentially, if you look at my calendar in 3 weeks' time, you'll see I've blocked out lunch, and I'll tell you why in a second, and I have blocked out the afternoon. So anyone, because I use Calendly for people to book time in my diary, so that's another recommendation is to find one of those tools. So if anyone wants to say, can I have a meeting with you, just send them a link and they find something that works for them rather than that back and forth. And so if I send a Calendly link to anyone, they can only find times in the morning. Now, obviously, this isn't strictly what I do. You cannot meet me in the afternoon. There obviously are situations where that doesn't work, namely board meetings. I'm unfortunately, I'm not powerful enough to dictate when board meetings happen. I just have to turn up, and they're usually early afternoon. And also if I'm meeting US colleagues or tax accountants in the US, I currently live in London. They don't log in until about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, UK time. So it doesn't make sense for me to say that I can't meet them because I don't work in the afternoon. But if I have any one-to-one meetings, whether they be with founders, finance leaders, people I'm coaching, whatever it is, it's, I try and make sure that they all are completed before 1 p.m. So that's how I've worked it. And then I have the time to do that planning, do self-study even, and do the thinking time. You really do need thinking time when you're a leader to be able to plan and work things out. So that's the first thing I would say. Now, I can tell you right now that if you have a look at your calendar, particularly this week and next week, you absolutely can't do that. There's no way. So look at your calendar in 3 weeks' time. That would be my recommendation. And anything where you're the owner of the meeting, I would move them. So particularly the recurring ones. So like your one-to-ones, for example, I would speak to whoever you're meeting and ask them if you can move it to the morning or the afternoon, whatever works for you. And then start blocking out time in your diary. It may be that you can't do it every single day. It may be that you can only, do one whole day a week. So maybe you say, I don't meet anyone on Fridays, which is a common thing for people to do. No one wants to meet on Fridays anyway. I generally find clients aren't too responsive and don't reach out that much on Fridays either. So it might work better for you, but essentially you need to work out what works for you that you can really block time out in your diary and stick to it. Okay, so the next thing that I really want to talk about was taking a lunch break. I mean, I'm not like the first time you've ever heard this, yes, I know I need to make a lunch, I shouldn't be eating at my desk. So, I know you've probably heard it before, and maybe you find it difficult, but I would say, there are 2 days a week that I am at the school gates and I pick up my children. And on those 2 days, because I finish work at 2:45, so I can be at the school gates and I try not to work for the rest of today, usually work at night time, then I generally will only have, say, a 15-minute lunch break on those 2 days, just because, everyone's busy, startups and scale-ups can be crazy. And to take like a full hour's lunch break and then finish at 2:45, it just doesn't make sense. So on the other 3 days, I absolutely have a 1 hour lunch break. And what works for me is having lunch away from the desk, going for a short walk. If you're following me on Instagram, you'll see I'm often doing a quick little 30-second clip on my walk. But I also read 5 pages. So whether that is doing a module on a course, like a course below that I'll link in, or reading articles, I personally write lots of articles, so there's articles there you could read, or other articles, or doing reading some books. So it is a very good opportunity for you to do even just 15 minutes. You would be shocked how much you can get through if you do 15 minutes a day. And it's insane. It takes a while to get in. It's one of those habits, so Atomic Habits. If you haven't read it, maybe that's the first book you read. It's amazing how much you can get through by just doing 15 minutes. So I currently have an online course that I'm doing, but not just my own course, obviously, but other courses, a business course. And I'm also currently reading this book here, Mindset. You can see I've been reading this for maybe a month now. So it's taken me a while to get to that. But, in a couple of months, I would have finished this. And then I'll do a book review. So all of the book reviews that I have done, and I'll link that below, all of them I have done in reading 5 pages. So yeah, it takes me a while to get through the books. I love reading, but at nighttime, I don't want to be reading business books because then my mind starts ticking over and I can't sleep. So I read fiction at nighttime. And then during the daytime, if I travel into the city or if during my lunch breaks, I read 5 pages. And yeah, you get through it. And it does sound a bit crazy. 15 minutes a day does sound really small. But as I said, it is amazing how much you can get through in 15 minutes a day. So really think about blocking that time. If you're doing a bit more involved online course, like my financial leadership fundamentals for CFOs, for example, you would probably want to block out a little bit more time. So say, for example, you have a 4-hour block that you can do. You could do, say, 60 minutes on building, working on your budget model. Then you could do 30 minutes of self-study. And then you could do 60 minutes of planning your communication plan and deadline plan to all the leadership team and the heads of team for the budget. So that's a perfect example of a really good use of time. And then going back to your modeling again. So that's a really good use of time in the afternoon. Another thing I use, I didn't mention this in the blog, I might actually update it, is Pomodoro. If you have any issues with focusing in the afternoon, apart from the ones that you've heard before, like, unmuting notifications, not looking at your phone, yada, yada, is using Pomodoro. I find this brilliant. You just choose a task, you do it for 20-25 minutes, have a 5-minute break, and you just keep doing that over and over. There are plenty of Pomodoro timers either on your phone or online or on Kanban Flow. So I would recommend using that one. So the other one then obviously is delegation. So particularly if you have been, say, for example, you're a finance manager or financial controller in a startup and you're the only finance person and you do everything. And then, you know, the company's grown quite a bit. You have been approved to hire in a more junior person, say a finance manager, to do kind of all the day-to-day for you. And then you can take that small step up. That's very common within startups and scale-ups. Certainly how I got a leg up is I was a financial controller of a small team. It was a long time ago, so a finance manager couldn't do everything. But anyway, and then I stepped up and I had to delegate. So I know firsthand how hard it is to delegate tasks. But I can tell you right now, if you've hired the right people, they are going to want more ownership and more responsibility. And it's that, you know, short-term pain, long-term gain. Sit down, teach your team how to do things properly, and then give it to them, because the long-term gain is you don't have to do it anymore. So you really need to think about how you're going to delegate all of the tasks that you're currently doing to the rest of your team. And if you do that, then you have more time to do that deep think work and self-study in the afternoon or whenever you decide to do it. And then finally, it's the different tools. So thinking about what tools kind of help you manage everything. So I use a few different things. So with delegation, I have used Kanban Flow in the past. That is a free tool. So if you don't have any budget to spend on tools and your company doesn't have one, then I would highly recommend Kanban Flow. It's also got Pomodoro timer in it, which is amazing. So I would recommend that you do that. The other one that I'm currently using is Trello. This one does cost money, but it's not a huge amount of money. So again, if your company doesn't have a task management tool and you have budget to get one, then Trello I would recommend. I currently have one Trello board per client, and then all of my team have access to the client that they're working on, and we put everything in there. So whenever I'm speaking to a founder, I will have my Trello board open, and anything they tell me to do, it just goes straight into the Trello board. Some of the founders even have access to that particular board, so they can see what we're working on and where we're getting to. And then this is very old school, so anyone who's a Gen X like me might appreciate this. But I also use Clever Fox journal. So this is like old school, but for me, I like to have it in front of me. So you have a page like this. There's no dates on it. It's just Monday to Sunday. I have my top 3 tasks for the day that I want to get done, the things that I need to work on the other page. And so anytime I have like a 10-minute break, my eye goes straight to this and I have a look at it. So I probably use Trello more for my team and then I use old school for me. But I appreciate not everyone's into old school, and I might be on my own there, but that's what it is. Anyway, hopefully that's useful. As I have said in the article as well, you know, leadership is really about having that time to plan, having that time to look at long term, and having that time to self-study. And you really have to, it's not going to just come. I know that for a fact. You can, you know, if I just get into past the budget period, I'm going to have more time to do X. Absolutely not. Not in a startup or a scale up. There is always going to be something to do. There is always going to be a fire to fight. So you need to be diligent and make the time. And for me, blocking in the calendar way in advance is the best way to do it. So hopefully that gives you some things to think about and hopefully action. And that will give you more time to do the things that you should be doing. All right, thank you so much for watching. I do upload a video once a week in line with my article and blog posts, so subscribe if you can. Cheers.